Rate cuts adding fuel to the property market. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au, just discussing the concerns with rate cuts. Yesterday we looked at a piece looking at housing growth, potentially during a recession, and how access to easier credit and our rate cuts, which for those of you that may not remember, is down to 0.5, although I bet everyone does, is giving more access to finance and larger home loans for people, for new home buyers and for people getting into the property market. And how a lot of property analysts are predicting double-digit growth in Sydney based on this alone, this access to credit. Some of them aren't even changing their predictions with regards to all of the global trade issues that we're having, with GDP growth predicted to drop down, with unemployment starting to climb. They're sticking with it. So let's have a look. This is what the RBA is fearing, with this potential for, essentially the ludicrously low interest rates that we're getting here being fuel on the fire for the housing market. And this is an old housing affordability chart, but what is more relevant is this property prices since September 2005. And then I will just bring up this wage growth chart. So have a look at this one. Look at how it's grown, guys. Look at how it's all grown. Look at Sydney and Melbourne. And then Canberra. Look at Brisbane. We're not doing too badly. We're still growing, but just not at those levels. Remember, that's an index there on the left. Then look at wages. RBA's phenomenal ability to predict wage growth. It knows no higher level of accuracy. So let's have a look. This is the concern, I think, of a lot of people. They are cutting these rates, so it's going to drive more people to buy housing, but building approvals are also low. Unemployment is going up. If anything, parts of the construction industry are already in recession. So is it worth doing it? Cuts to interest rates will throw fuel on an already raging inferno that is Australia's housing market, leading to fears of an inevitable crash. So is this the last fuel in the property bubble that is getting thrown on there before global issues cause this bubble to burst? Could this be what it is? Let me know your opinions in the comments, guys. Because you'd hate to be, one of these people that are rushing out now, buying because of FOMO. You're hearing all the news. Your family is saying, borrow, borrow, borrow. It's the best time to do it. You run out, you borrow, buy a huge house, you lose your job, you go into arrears, you lose your house, you're stuck with this debt. So, Australia's property market has nearly entirely rebounded from its correction. And with the RBA rate cuts this week, is now a juggernaut that even the illness will not be able to stop, one expert says. So, with regards to these claims that it's rebounded, here's a chart of property growth for units. Now, units, building approvals for units, dwellings, non-detached houses, boom, down 35%. Last year, building approvals are down 15% year on year. It's not uniform, this growth, guys. It isn't uniform. And you have to remember two things. One, back in 14-15, see that black line on this chart? That is the percentage of building approvals from foreign investment. This is from the Foreign Investment Review Board. That overheated that sector significantly. And I know our leaders want to restrict our freedoms to spend our own bloody money because they're concerned of tax evasion. They're concerned about bikies laundering stuff, but yet, foreign money flooding into the country, some of it from, let's say, quite authoritarian nations. It's all good. It's no problem. No problem. So, I'm not even sure that the BP would slow down the property market at the moment, said Star Partners Chief Executive Douglas Driscoll. The market is a juggernaut at the moment, a high-speed train, he said, adding that the major banks passing on the RBA's rate cut in full would only bolster it further. I think it's tantamount to throwing fuel on an already raging inferno. Maybe it's the news I'm consuming or the concerns I have. I just see this as an act of desperation. What's concerning is so much of our civilization's wealth is tied up in housing, which really is just housing. It's not like a business. It's not going to create anything. It may create a few children if people weren't so lazy and actually started having kids these days, but still, you could do that in a car. But anyway, that's what my concern is. It'll just pump up this bubble. The nation's biggest lender, Commonwealth Bank, says its standard variable rate for owner-occupiers paying principal and interest will drop to 4.55% on March 24th, one of the lowest rates on record. Smaller lenders were advertising mortgages at rates as low as 2.59%, according to savings.com.au. McGrath Chief Executive Jeff Lucas said he disagreed with commentary that because interest rates were so low, another rate cut wouldn't make any difference. A 25 basis point cut from a lower base is actually more significant in percentage terms than a cut from a higher base, he noted. People are talking about its effect on the overall economy and consumer confidence. Sure, it's going to make a difference to your repayments, but is that a good thing for the economy? It's quite a significant move that will further underpin buyer demand, he said. Well, do you think we'll hit another rate cut, guys? Do you think this is the last one we've seen for this year, or will we get another one next month? Or will we have to wait for new unemployment figures? Or GDP growth figures? Or probably they'll wait to see the impact of the stimulus system that ScoMo is putting out. That's what I'd bet. I'd hope they'd wait for that, unless something else drastic happens. Australia's nationwide rental yields are around 3.8%, and interest-only loans are available to investors. Wow, interest-only loans in the low 3% range, Mr. Lucas said. Mr. Driscoll said that Australia's property market had been picking up since around midway last year after the 2017 downturn, something he credited to both the RBA's rate cuts in June and July and the May federal election result. Typically, property markets plateau for a bit after reaching the nadir, but not this time, he said. It can, without exaggeration, be described as a wild swing. It was almost overnight, it was bizarre, it was crazy. A year ago, vendors would struggle to get anyone to an open house, and now there are crowds, if not quite queues around the block, he said. CoreLogic head of Australian research, Eliza Owen, said the market had nearly completely recovered from the correction in 2017, which came after strong growth in Australian property values from 2012. We're getting those growths, but we're not getting any wage increases. What's that telling you about the general state of the economy? There's not demand for workers. Or our population growth is keeping pace with demand for workers. But then our infrastructure and our housing isn't. Housing prices in 5 of Australia's 8 capital cities, Melbourne, Adelaide, Hobart, ACT and Brisbane, hit record levels in February. In Sydney, they grew 1.7% to 872,000, which is still 3.7% below the city's peak, but it could reach it as soon as April, Ms. Owen said. In Melbourne, house prices rose 1.2% in February, up 10.7% for the year to 689. In Brisbane, house prices rose 0.6% to 503, the CoreLogic figures showed. Unlike the last housing boom where 40% of buyers were investors, This one appears to be more driven by owner-occupiers, she said. Just 29% of buyers have been investors, Miss Owen said. Mr. Lucas said that inventory was still low and there still wasn't as much activity as in the last cycle. Mr. Driscoll said he worried that the boom was unsustainable and there would be another crash. Buyers need to realize that they are looking at not just once in a generation interest rates, but perhaps once in a lifetime interest rates, he said. They should make sure their budget allows for the possibility that rates would rise. And that is some fantastic advice in one of these articles. Because yeah, this is we're in insane times. There are generations that would never even contemplated our cash rate could go like this. I mean, just some of the financial software doesn't even have the capacity to deal with negative numbers with regards to these type of calculations and formulas that they do. The software hasn't allowed for it. Because the software's so old, you wouldn't program the capacity into it. Or you wouldn't think you'd have negative interest rates or negative yields. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be more fuel to the fire? Is it going to make housing? Is it going to make housing even more unaffordable? Are property prices going to keep going up? Or are they going to correct? Are they going to correct? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan, there are a few ways you can support us. You can share the content, help the channel grow, get the word out there. You can support us by joining the channel here on YouTube. You get access to badges and emojis, or you can join via Patreon. We also have affiliate links with Amazon and eBay, where if you make a purchase, we receive an advertiser's commission. It doesn't cost you a cent, and it's a great way for you to support content creators. We have also affiliate links for Independent Reserve and Kucoin. For all the crypto traders out there, we get a share of your fee that you pay. Finally, we have pocket squares, handmade from the HeiseSays website. Find the link in the comments below. And PayPal if you want to support us that way. Thanks to everyone who's helping. I really appreciate it. The next thing on the budget, and I think it's going to take a while to get to, is some hard drives to store all the data when you're recording these videos. 3 videos a day, a couple of gig of video, even though I'm not doing high quality. This is why I'm probably never going to go 4K. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.